Hi, I'm Brittany. This video is to give you some insights as to how I live with fibromyalgia and how it all started. I've been living with fibromyalgia for 5 years now, and it has not been a fun roller coaster ride at all. The first 2 years I started developing my symptoms, I didn't think anything of it. I was a brand new mom and assumed it was my body getting back to normal, and my gynae agreed. As for the fatigue, well, I was caring for a newborn. Plus, when my daughter was born with her own health problems, the stress of dealing with all that did not help my condition at all, since all my attention went to her. I didn't start to do anything to find out what was wrong with me till it really started affecting my ability to care for my family. So I talked with my gynae again, and we did an ultrasound and found I had a few cysts on my ovary. So I scheduled a laparoscopy, and my gynae told me she found a fibroid mass that was hiding under my uterus, and it was the size of my uterus, which had to be removed as well. She also told me that I had deep-seated endometriosis, but unfortunately there was nothing we could do about that. So 2 months later, I had surgery to remove these things. I healed up fine, but was still in the same pain as before. So at the follow-up, I told my gynae it didn't help with the pain, so she said it had to be coming from somewhere else then, considering the location of my pain, and to go find a doctor that could help. So I did just that, and then again, and again. In 1 year, I saw 15 different doctors, and not a single one of them would help me. All they did was tell me to take some medication, and if it helped, then great. If not, then we would try another. This so-called method for diagnosing someone is not how it works. So while I was jumping from doctor to doctor, I did my own research to find out what was wrong with me. After the 15th doctor, I decided to give up and take things into my own hands. I self-diagnosed myself and started my own research on how to care for myself. A lot of it was trial and error. But while reading another book on naturopathic care, I came across another document on the proven effectiveness of medical marijuana. I knew it would be a good idea, however, I couldn't afford it, so I brushed it aside. Later that night on Facebook, I saw an event being held at my local hospital on the subject of medical marijuana. I decided it might be a good idea, so I went. I was surprised to see that it was an MD doctor speaking about this topic, especially considering the doctors I had previously encountered. But after hearing about how he cares for his patients with a mix of Western and Eastern medical practices, I decided to give this doctor a shot and see if he could help me. On our first appointment, he spent an hour with me going over everything in detail about my symptoms. He was happy to hear how I was handling my care, as well as my educational pursuits in naturopathic care. He also agreed with me regarding my self-diagnoses. He also had a few other things he wanted to rule out too. So he ordered around 50 blood tests for me to get drawn up. You have no idea how happy I was to finally meet a doctor that not only listened and believed what I was saying, but also did the proper testing to diagnose me instead of just giving me pharmaceuticals. So I got the results and found out that I was correct in my self-diagnosis of fibromyalgia. We did this by disproving I had any other condition blood tests can prove. I also found out I had some vitamin deficiencies, a thyroid condition, and my adrenal glands weren't functioning. All of these conditions could have very easily been found by any of the previous doctors if they just would have ordered the blood test. If they had done that, my condition would have been treated a lot more efficiently and wouldn't have gotten as bad as it did, especially considering that these blood tests are supposed to be routine and done with every new patient and then at every annual checkup. If your doctor is not doing these tests, then please contact me for assistance at blueorchidclinic.org. And I apologize for this rant, but this kind of arrogance by doctors gets me very heated. I do not like the way that patients are treated, and unfortunately, patients don't know what kind of care they need because it is not taught to them. But that's a video for another time. So let's get back to this video before I spend another 10 minutes ranting even more. So my doctor found out about some other conditions, and we discussed how to adjust my care to treat them, which leads me to my routine. My routine will vary depending on how much pain I wake up with, which depends on if I did my before bed routine, the weather, and how well I slept. On average, I wake up in a level 2 to 3 out of 10. Slowly it will increase throughout the day, but I take steps all throughout the day in order to care for the pain. I developed an exercise routine with my physical therapist. That exercise routine takes about 5 to 10 minutes. The stretches are what take up the majority of my time because I like to see what I am capable of that day. Then I repeat these exercises every 2 hours throughout the rest of the day while going about my day. I have someone that helps me get dressed, cook, and clean, which is so helpful because that allows me to focus on my care and lower my stress. I do have some tips I could share regarding how to do the mundane things of life while living with fibromyalgia, so if you think that would make a good video series, let me know in the comments section below. Now, let's get into my pain management. I have 3 different things I use throughout the day to lower my pain level: a TENS unit, heating pad, and an ice pack. Each day is different on which one I use, but it is usually a mix between them. If I have to leave the house, I always have my TENS unit on since it is portable. This makes it much easier to walk, especially when going grocery shopping. However, I still have a limit to how much I can do. I have help when I go shopping to put stuff in the cart, check out, and all that. In doing so, it allows me to focus on just walking. The other thing I like about my TENS unit is that it makes it so I don't have to use my walker. For a while, I had to rely on a walker. It did help with keeping my pain at a lower level, but it did nothing for my self-confidence, which would trigger my depression. And depression triggers more pain, and that is a very vicious cycle. So the TENS unit is a great substitute for me to avoid that vicious cycle. The downside is that I can only use it for so long. It is not something I can wear all day. However, there is something that I can use all day: a heating pad, but I keep it on low. I put it on the spots that are bothering me the most for the day. I also have a back brace that I wrap around to keep it to my lower back for when I need to do things that require me to stand for more than 5 minutes. Attaching it to my back like that helps me avoid back spasms and sharp pain that can leave me breathless. Now, the final thing I use is an ice pack. I have a long pack that is the length of my spine. This kind of pack is great to lay my back on. I do this at night to help me relax before bed. I still am unable to lay flat on my back, so I lay in a half upright position with pillows surrounding me to keep me up and supported. So I've learned how to manage my fibromyalgia well enough with all of these methods I use throughout the day, but I still have limits, such as I can only stand for 5 minutes and sit for 10 minutes in one position at a time. I can't bend down to pick something up off the floor or put any physical stress on my body, such as letting my daughter sit in my lap or lifting a gallon of milk. Doing these things cause instant pain that will increase my pain level. And mental stress increases my pain too, such as worrying about money since I don't have an income. But just because I know how to manage my pain and know my limits doesn't mean I'm all better. A lot of people I talk to don't understand why I can't do things or get better, especially considering all that I do for my health. My only response to that is that I would be a lot worse if I didn't do the things that I do. And caring for myself honestly feels like a full-time job and is exhausting, but it's so worth the effort and accomplishment to know that I can do something instead of continually focusing on the things I can't do. I forgot the other part of my care is vitamin care. I have some that I take for my vitamin deficiencies and my thyroid, and another for depression. And of course, the everyday ones everyone should be taking. Vitamins are a great thing for your body, and when you add it to a proper diet, you will really start to feel the benefits. So I know there is only so much I can explain about my condition and how I treat it. However, if you are interested in learning more about me and my condition, then let me know. Once I get enough questions, I'll see about turning it into a Q&A video. I'll also be making videos about vitamins and diet soon, so subscribe to my channel and keep up to date on when I add those. Also, if you have a topic you would like for me to do, then let me know in the comments section below. Please keep in mind, if you suffer from a pain condition and would like some help with getting holistic care, then schedule an appointment with me at blueorchidclinic.org. And remember, it's your only life. It's worth the investment.